welcome to my channel. Well, if you hear anything they're mowing, I guess they got a new mower, and for some reason they decided to pick the hottest part of the day to start mowing, which is insane. Anyways, let's ignore that. Alright, now, this is a continuation of handle material type things, and like I said, it's not 100% extensive, and a lot of times I forget things and leave things out. Like abalone and then simulated abalone. So that's a natural material here, and this is a not natural material. So a lot of times you'll find man-made materials trying to imitate natural materials, either because of scarcity or price or both. And that's just one example right there. This Rough Rider one right here, which they call abalonite, I was joking around with that, man. I didn't even know. I was joking around with that word in a Danny Dino thing, and I had him call, hey, right here we got this abalonite, and that's what they call this stuff. But anyways, they do a real good job with this for a synthetic, simulated abalone. But this is the real stuff. This is from Queen. This is one of those little cubs, and Jelly Peanut had one of these where this was real sharp. See, mine, they just filed it down around it. It's almost getting there, but his was like, ow, stab you type of sharp. I like this little pattern. Again, you flip it over on the other side. Now, this camera's not doing it justice. It's washing it out, but it has some color. But in reality, this guy right here is more colorful, looking at it. If you were to look at the two, you would probably think this one's real also, or this one's fake. But again, that's a natural versus unnatural hand material. Now, one of the things is, like metal handle. This is an old Gerber. Now, you might think, well, wow, metal's the way to go. It's solid, just like the blade, and everything is solid and everything else, and it's, can crush a skull if it has to, and also, oh, this would be great. Metal has a disadvantage of being damn cold if it's sitting out by itself. It'll warm up eventually, but the way it warms up is it sucks the heat right out of your hand. So that's one thing. That's one disadvantage. And another way is, with metal, is it'll have a tendency, this is the same thing with brass, usually. It'll have a tendency to wear off, especially because even if it's anodized or whatever, it's going to get scratched. And some people like that, some people don't. If you don't like it, you don't have much choice, except for in the case of this, for people that like, brass to retain that luster, and they don't like it to, what we call patina. It's also known as corrosion, but it's a controlled corrosion type of thing, kind of like bluing. If you want to prevent that, you either have to polish this all the time, or keep it in an airtight container or something like that, or never use it. Or there's some kind of like a lacquer or some kind of like paint finish over this, because I think it's still brass and everything, but it doesn't oxidize. And the difference between brass and bronze is a little bit tougher metal. I mean, here's a good example of the difference. Both of these, this is copper, and this is G10, like layered G10. Alright? Now, besides this one being natural and everything else, anytime you go with a metal like this, it's heavier. I mean, this is like 2 times heavier. This is like 4 ounces, and this one is 2 ounces. This is the Wharncliffe looking RKO, I think. Pretty. And they got on the design resembling something too much. It's not the same design, and the people that made that design that they're referring to bad stole it from other cultures and stuff like that. So a lot of times, well, anyways, we're getting off track here, but weight is another factor. And if you think, oh, I want my knife all shiny, I love them all shiny, well, if you go to use it and you don't polish it all the time, see how it hasn't patinaed as much right through here. If you like it looking more coppery than brown, and then another thing is on copper, some people say, well, ooh, I don't like that because it makes my hand smell and stuff like that. I've never smelt that on mine, but I understand that it does happen. There's something to remember too about brass and bronze, and that is they're antibacterial. So if anything, they're killing bacteria on your hand that makes that smell. As far as, like, I'm not a doctor, I don't know for sure, but they used to use them in schools and hospitals and stuff like that, because you can have, this is stainless steel, you can have this thing 100% sterilized, and let's say it's a door push handle, and if the next kid's got germs on his hands and hits it, then everybody after he hits it is going to get those germs on their hand too. It doesn't matter how sterile it was, it's not sterile now. But with brass and bronze, if that stuff's left there long enough, microbes and stuff don't grow. It actually kills them. Yeah, it takes a while, like hours and stuff like that sometimes. But still. So that's, again, everything, like I said, has advantages and disadvantages. So that's metal, and you can have aluminum that's sculpted in metal and painted over it. Like this was black. I scraped it off because what's going to stick more on aluminum is an anodizing. Paint, usually won't stay on very long. It'll chip off or flake off. And that's just, even aluminum can corrode. So you got to take care of it. Acrylic. Here's another example. You wouldn't be able to see through stuff if you didn't have some kind of plastic or acrylic. And we take it for granted, but a lot of this stuff would get old, be in the sun, and yellow, and crack, and shrink. And, you had celluloid, which was, a lot of times, like it's used in film and stuff, it's one of the prefixes to it is usually nitro. Nitrocelluloid or whatever. And you know what that can do? And it would do a thing called outgassing too, where some of them could actually catch on fire, but most of them would just ooze this nasty chemical. And just a knife just sitting like that, you would open it up and it would be all corroded. And, of course, it wouldn't be translucent anymore and stuff like that. They started phasing those out, and they're usually not there, but it kind of looked like this. They're trying to simulate mother of pearl, but they call this like cracked ice. This is a trick knife, you're like, hey, where's the nail there? I can't get the thing open. I don't remember. Yeah, you gotta go upside down. But yeah, see, they're just trying to make it look fancy, and a lot of times you don't know. You don't know. If you don't know if it's pearl or mother of pearl, or pearlite or abalonite, as long as it looks good, then they get you somewhere. And then this one here, it's a glow in the dark that I just added glowing. It's actually that buckshot bone. You rarely see these being offered. They come back with the buckshot bone pattern, but the single blade one, which is really great, they hardly ever offer it. I saw one place on eBay that was selling for around $20 for this particular knife. But anyways, and of course you have micarta. Micarta, some people think might be super new and everything, but it's been around for a while, over 100 years. And in some ways, it's traditional. But you can have all different kinds of material, linen or paper micarta, and burlap, and just various grades of stuff that, again, it's like a laminate. It's being held together by something. And the same thing with, I don't have an example out here of, I should get one. yellow knives are going to be mad at me, but synthetic, like some Delrin, it's considered, a trademark name and everything. But other companies will put stuff out that's yellow, that's plastic. It's basically some kind. This is kind of, we'll count this as yellow. It's kind of like that. But the advantage of a plastic or like G10 or anything like that, like we've got, this is FRN or fiberglass reinforced nylon or something like that, or just nylon. It's like a rat. He's got a rat in his hand. It's a rat 1. I've got a rat 2 also hiding around somewhere. These are good knives. Who knows if they're going to be made anymore, but again, if you snooze, you lose. Sometimes on a lot of knives, you look at them and you say, those are inexpensive. That company's always been around forever. And then they have an announcement, and then everybody goes in panic mode. And these things that one of the main attractions might have been that they were low cost, now they're getting double for them. Because why? Supply and demand. The supply is going down, and the demand is going up. And then you get, kind of exotic ones like this. They didn't advertise it and everything, but if you hit it with like ultraviolet and everything, it'll glow. It'll glow. It won't glow as long as this one. Like this one, if I hit it with light in the morning, it'll still be glowing. So there's just some other things to think about on different handle materials. And again, I'm gonna wind up skipping a lot of things, or skipping over a lot of things. Some companies, really get into different ways of doing micarta. So really, again, find what you like. Like micarta has this warm feeling to it, and it's not natural. Well, if you're looking for that, you can start combining things. All right, you've got an example of this already. Try something that you haven't tried before. Maybe this is warm enough for you. Maybe if it's slippery, get one that's checkered, or do it yourself checkering. Or a natural, texture might be an antler. You won't know until you actually have it in your hand. And you don't necessarily have to buy something. If you're at a store, you can annoy a salesperson because they don't want to do their job. You usually say, "Hey, can I see that one over there?" And they'll just try to show it to you. No, I want to hold it. You pick it up and you hold it, and you don't have to buy it. You can handle it. And then they might get bent out of shape. See, like here's plastic with some checkering on it. This is bayonet. Fix bayonet. But it gives you this good grip, because a lot of times if something's slick, if your hands get wet with water or blood or entrails of your enemy, the knife could slip out of your hand unless you got like a lanyard and a little loop on it. Now right here's, this is kind of like called Kraton, like a rubber, but there's a full tang in here. And so you got, like a full tang, but you got that, it's not going to feel cold to your hand and everything else. So, like I said, there are a lot of options out there, and you just find what works for you. And your environment can be different, What works for somebody in Alaska could be entirely different from somebody, in bug-infested swamps of Florida, or high humidity. Any place like that might be entirely different, And you can get it all anywhere in the world, but you can also find something that fits your... There's a thing called ergonomics. And what it is how well your hand fits the tool or the task or whatever it is, A lot of times, some things, the thing is trying to make you fit it rather than your hand fit you. That's trying to make you fit that shape. And sometimes, completely circular shape is fine, but if it's completely circular, it's easy to just slip right out. And you would look at this one and you would think, well, you know, that's kind of counterintuitive. You should need some kind of swell or some kind of loop or something. Well, you know, look, you got a lanyard hole here, you know. I mean, if you're worried about slipping. So, there, I probably run my mouth too long. And like I said, I probably forgot some things and some materials and stuff like that. And it's not extensive, just like I don't have a titanium knife example, but you know, you would think one of those. What's the advantage of titanium? Well, in many cases it's stronger than steel, but it's lighter than aluminum. I'm like, wow, that's perfect. Well, a lot of times they're really fancy and expensive, and they get these things called snail trails. So if you wanted yours all fancy, like, you know, copper that won't wear off or whatever, never patina, with titanium, it's a pretty tough material. I don't think it's possible unless you sandblast it all the time, and then it would take a while to get it to all match up. So you've got that disadvantage. And then again, it is metal. I think it's non-magnetic too. I believe that's the case. So I mean, it has some advantages over regular steel, but still, there you go. And also one last thing is carbon fiber and carbon fiber inlays. You know, some carbon fiber is supposed to be like this weave of carbon fiber material, but an inlay is just, it gives you that holographic effect of the thing, but it's not very deep. It's just like on the surface, and then the rest of it is plastic. And this is a Civivi Shard example of it. It's kind of raised up. They made it a little bit later and they changed its name, and then they discontinued this particular model. It's a nice little knife, but this I don't think this sheath was made for it. I think I just stuffed that in there, didn't I? Yeah, that sheath wasn't made for that, you idiot. It was made for this. So there you go, there's synthetic material. See, the advantage to this is you don't have to worry about it changing around when it gets wet. It'd have to get so hot it was melting you if you're worried about this one melting or anything and stuff like that. And it's fairly durable, but again, Kydex is noisy, you know? I mean, there might be a way to do it quietly, but it's not gonna be a fast way. It's not gonna be fast and quiet. Whereas with leather, you just pull it out quietly, and you're not telling the entire world, hey, here I am. Either animal or human. You're in a forest and you pull this thing out. It may not make a difference to you, but animals can hear that. That sound right there could carry for miles. And if you were stalking an animal because you're hungry and you wanted to eat them, man, they've all split. They're going to wait for you to get the hell out of there, and they'll know when you're gone because they'll hear you. So, anyways, there you go. That's my little rant there. Thank you for watching, and have a nice day. And then, like I said, there may be another part, I don't know, part 3 or 4 or 5. What are we on? What part are we on? I think we're on part 3 already. So, anyways, thank you for watching.